Yeah, hello. Welcome to this tutorial on Action Research AI, a tool that was designed by Macharious, and this particular GPT model is designed to guide educators. If I say educators, that's lecturers of the various colleges of education and pre-service teachers through every stage of the action research that the fourth years undertake as part of their program of study in the College of Education space. And this particular tool can guide you through every step or stage of action research, right from topic development to conclusions, using expert-supported frameworks and samples of top action research works. The interface is not different from that of the normal chat GPT that we know. We have the prompt space, and then if to begin with, you have two options. You can just type hi here, or you click on this. So I would like you to follow me as we do this together to help you to be able to do a good action research smartly and less stressful. So without having any topic probably in mind, but with an identified problem in the class that you are posted to do your out service program, you can begin by clicking. So ChatGPT, this GPT welcomes you, and it begins to ask and find out from you the kind of help or support that you will need the system to assist you with. So for instance, it has here, are you looking for assistance with your action research from start to finish? That is chapter 1 through to chapter 5. Or do you have an idea and need help drafting a chapter? So here, if you have already started something to all together, what you can do is that you feed the system with your idea and you get helped. But let's assume that we don't have anything at hand, but we have a problem that we have identified in the classroom situation, which we want to start working with and see how we can solve the problem through the action research model. So here you can type that from, just say I need help from chapter 1 to 5 and hit on your search button. Alright, so great. The system is assuring you of guiding you through your action research step by step from chapter 1 to chapter 5. But first, let's gather some background information to tailor your study to your setting. The first one is, which country are you conducting the research in, and what school level are you focusing in? Example, that's elementary, middle, or high school. So we are working with in Ghana. So our first response is Ghana, and then our second response is middle school. Let's use middle school for. Alright, good. So with this information, the system poses other two questions, question 3 and then 4, where the question 3 seeks to find out the subject that we want to focus on. And then the fourth question is the specific topic within what that particular subject that we are interested in studying. We can take something very simple so that for the sake of this tutorial, but in your own field of study, you can also teach the system in the same way and you get helped. So in the first response, which is 3, let's say English. Then, sorry, let's use science. Then fourth, the specific topic, let's say matter. Feel free to use any topic, any subject area. Wow, awesome. Your action research will focus on science, specifically on the topic of matter at the middle school level in Ghana. Next, let's define your research setting more precisely. So here the system wants to find out how many students we have in our classroom, in our science classroom, which we are using for this tutorial, and what specific problem or challenge are the students facing when learning about matter. That's giving you examples of challenges. For instance, difficulty understanding states of matter, challenges with hands-on experiments, lack of engagement, misconception about physical and chemical changes, etc. So if any of these challenges or problems is the same as the one that you are facing in the classroom, you can type it as such. But if your challenge is not listed here, you are also at liberty to type the kind of problem that you are facing in your classroom. So the fifth one, our fifth response is going to be, assuming we have 45 students. 45 students in the class. And then the sixth response is, let's use the first example here. Difficulty understanding states of matter. Alright, so we can prompt our system. Good. So great. Your action research will focus on helping 45 middle school students in Ghana overcome difficulty in understanding the states of matter in science. Now we'll move into chapter 1, which comprises and are not limited to the following. That's background of the study, statement of the problem, objectives of the study, research questions, significance of the study, delimitation of the scope of the study. But first, let's refine the statement of the problem. Since your students struggle with understanding the states of matter, we need to describe, point 1, the issue in detail. Why is it a challenge? Why do you think this is a challenge in your classroom? You are there with the students, so you know why it is a challenge. And how does it affect students' learning? And why this study is important. Good. So this is a draft of the statement of the problem. So when you read through the statement of the problem, understanding states of matter and blah 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 blah. So the statement have been written, and the thesis of the thesis, what you actually intend to do is, this study seeks to explore the effectiveness of interactive and practical teaching strategies such as hands-on experience and visual demonstrations in improving students' comprehension of states of matter. So here is a problem of statement drafted for you based on the responses we have given to the system. And now let's look at the preceding question, which is, would you like to modify this statement in any way better fit your classroom situation, or this is good to proceed. So if you think this is good to proceed, you go ahead and say yes, go ahead and proceed. But if you think that you want to modify it, you are at liberty. You can include whatever that you want the system to add. But let's assume that we are okay to go. So let's say proceed. Just type proceed and prompt the system, and the system will proceed for you. Okay, great. So now that we have approved the statement or the statement of the problem, the system based on that has given us objectives that could lead us into achieving the problem, in solving the problem that we have. So here it says your study will focus on improving students' understanding of the states of matter through an intervention. And here are possible objectives. Mind you, these are possible objectives. If these objectives do not align with what you believe in, you can also prompt the system to realign or give you an objective or set of objectives that probably will suit your preference. But with this example, first we have to identify the specific misconceptions middle school students have about the states of matter. 2, to implement interactive teaching strategies such as hands-on experience and visual demonstrations to improve understanding of the states of matter. And the third objective is to assess the impact of these strategies on students' comprehension of the states of matter. And the leading research questions are also here, which were teased out of the objectives that were given. Now let's look at the last part. It says, would you like any adjustment to the objectives or research questions? If not, we'll move on to the significance of the study. So let's assume that everything is perfect here, unless in a situation where you think that you want to modify any of the objectives, you are at liberty to go. So here, let's say move on. Just write move on. I'm sure the system will understand move on because it used that term over there. Good. So it has started writing the significance of the study for you and the limitation, the scope. So the scope, you have to look at it and make sure that it's really fits into your situation. So the scope here is the study focuses on 45 middle school students, which we inputted in the first part of it. We did the input, that's 45 students in Ghana who are learning about the states of matter. It specifically examining the impact of hands-on what and what, blah blah blah, and the study does not extend to other science topics or other schools additionally. So these things, or these are the defining scope of your study. Now this completes chapter 1. Would you like to review or modify any before we move on to chapter 2? If you have any modification to make, you can go ahead and make it. Or if you have probably your school or the university that you are affiliated to has certain specifics or certain subtopics that you need to write under our sessions, as far as chapter 1 is concerned, prompt the system and the system is ready to do that for you. So we move on to chapter 2, which is literature review. So let's go ahead and say move on. Just say move on. So the chapter 2, in this chapter we'll review existing research and theories related to understanding the states of matter, common misconception about the states of matter, interactive teaching strategies. So these are selective topics that the system has selected and reviewed with references and citations, which makes it more academic for you. So these are In fact, with even theoretical framework and almost everything. So this is the summary of chapter 2. So this concludes chapter 2 review. Would you like to add or modify anything? And I've said this over and over. If you have at any point in time you want to modify whatever result the system has given you, you are free to do that. So let's proceed and assume that everything is okay. So let's say move to chapter 3. Chapter 3. So we assume that we are okay with chapter 1 and then 2. So chapter 3, this chapter outlines how the study will be conducted, including research design, participant, data collection methods, and data analysis. And trust me, the system has done all this for you. The research design is there, the population. Okay, so here, target population, middle school science students, sample size 45, and all those things. You may probably need to do some little modifications. And these are the data collection procedure where you have your pre-test and post-test. Alright. And then the instruments that you use to collect all this. And the data analysis. Sorry. The data analysis is so done. And then the ethical consideration. Sorry. The ethical consideration is also written for you. And this seems to summarize the entire chapter 3. And again, if you think your chapter 3 is not enough, you can re-prompt the system to do that for you. Maybe in time, at the appropriate time, I will do a part 2 of this particular video. But for now, let's assume everything is okay. So let's move to chapter 4. Chapter 4. Alright. So feel free to prompt the system, and when you think you need to do modifications, do that. So the chapter 4, which is about data analysis and findings, you have your chapter 4 being done for you, even with graphs. In fact, this is so amazing. And trust me, this one is giving you the test, pre-test, and then post-test scores of what you did in your classroom. So here, this is a system generated, but be sure of whatever figures you are using here, because you are supposed to do or conduct the physical exercise in the classroom and record it. So this is a lead, a guide for you. Okay, for all. So these are the student IDs. Okay, that's for all the 45 students. So number 40 has an ID of 40, number 1 has an ID of 1, and these are their pre-test scores. So for instance, number one has a student ID of 1, and then the pre-test score is 49, and then the post-test score is 67. Good. And this is represented in the graph for you. The data says so. The interpretation of the post and pre-test score are also here. The first statement says the mean pre-test score is around 45, indicating that students initially had difficulty in understanding the states of matter. And then the mean post-test score is around 75, showing significant improvement after implementing the hands-on activities and visual demonstrations. Good. So these findings suggest that interactive teaching strategies were effective in improving students' understanding of states of matter. And classroom observations, and other information that are also very good to you. So you can look through this. And this is, you see, the system is so good such that it goes ahead to even give you set of what? Questionnaire and the test items, and then the various ratings. You can take your time and look at all this. This is so fantastic, and I pray that it helps you to solve all your problems when it comes to action research. Now let's go to the concluding part. Say move on. So this is the last part of it, the chapter 5. The chapter 5, which is about conclusion and then recommendations. So here you have chapter 5.1, which is the summary of the findings. We have chapter 2, which is conclusion, and then chapter 5.2 conclusion, chapter 5.3, which is recommendations, and then chapter 5.4 limitations of the study and suggestions for further studies. And final thoughts, probably if you may not need this, you can ignore them. Wow, so this is so great, and this is the chat GPT of that the GPT for action research for colleges of education in Ghana, for both lecturers and for students. Feel free to explore it, and very soon I'll come again with the part 2 of this. I'll provide a link for you, and then you can follow and also do your action research at ease. Thank you for your time.